friends, and welcome back to 155 Books. My name is Shannon, and today I'm going to do a dedicated vlog to finishing my current reads. So I'm currently partway through 4 different books. It was 5, but I finished one this morning in time for the book club live show for Paws Pages. So the one I finished this morning was The Emperor of Gladness, which I'm very glad to have finished, which I really enjoyed also, but I'm glad I finished it because now I can focus on finishing my current reads. It's concerning me that we are approaching autumn and I've got a couple of summary books on my list and a couple of books that I've been reading for a while that I just want to finish. So in autumn I can pick up some really good autumnal books. So I'm going to go through the books that I am currently reading and obviously take you along my journey of finishing them. The first one is, like I say, the one I've been reading the longest, and that is the Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, which I'm reading on my Kindle. I've got about 25% left of this, so at my current reading pace, about 2.5 hours. I think I could probably read it quicker than that, potentially, but I've got another 2 books lined up on my Kindle that I want to read next already, but I don't want to start those until I've finished Sunrise on the Reaping. Like I say, I've been reading it for a really long time and I just want to get it finished, so not got much left of that one. The next book I can also finish really quickly, and that is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. So I'm listening to this on audiobook, which I'm really enjoying, but I like listening to it when I'm on like a long walk. I haven't walked to work for a while because it's been really, really hot. And obviously it's a long walk, so by the time I get to work I'd be like sweating. But as the weather is cooling, this will, like I say, be finished in one walk to work, which I'm hoping to do next week, so I can finish this off. And like I say, I have been enjoying it. I kind of wish there was a book that was just extracts of this, and the extracts being some of his better meditations. Some of the books just fully focus on people. Some bits I don't find as interesting as others, but I am glad I have picked this one up. But like I say, I do think a extracts of would potentially hold more weight for me, and I'm not entirely sure whether I would keep this or not, but we'll see once I finish it. So this next book is one of the reasons why I really want to wrap up my current reads, for 2 reasons. One, it's a book that I've borrowed from someone from work, and the second reason is because it's a summer romance book, and I don't want to be reading it into autumn. The sun has kind of come out again, it is getting warmer again, we're having another sort of like warm period here in the UK, and now would obviously be the good time to finish this one off. It's called The Cornish Hideaway by Jennifer Bibby, who I work with, which is really cool. So it's very cool to be reading a book by someone that like I know quite well. And a lot of people, we've been like circulating this at work, so we've all been lending it to one another. A couple of the girls at work have read this, and I'm so glad that I've picked this up because it is a really good romance book, and it's reminded me of why I like straight romance books. I've been reading a lot of smutty romance, which are also great, but it's good to have a reminder of good old, like what a good old romance book is, and this is definitely that. So this one follows our main character Freya, who has just failed her masters in art, and she obviously put all of her work and money and time into doing a master's and now feels completely lost, like utterly lost, especially because she has failed. She thinks she's not a good artist, and her relationship has fallen apart in the years that she has been focusing on her masters, and now she's basically just at a loss of what to do. So she goes to help her friend who has just opened a little cafe in a Cornish village, and it's already really cute. So it's already got, Freya's already in this Cornish village. I really like her friendship with Lola. So there is 2 other books in this series coming out soon, one following Lola's perspective and then another one that I do believe is set in a bookshop. So I'm very, very excited for these. So the next one following Lola's perspective is set, I think, at Christmas. So that's why I want to finish this one so that I can pick that one up in the season. I love Lola so far. I also really like Freya. The love interest has made an appearance and I'm just very excited to see where this goes. I'm on page 83 of this, but it's a very quick read, and like I say, I really want to give it back to its rightful owner so we can then lend it round some more to some more people at work, because I really want this one to get read and a bit more well known for my lovely colleague. And the last book on my list is the one that I've not made much progress with, and that is The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. I just want to call him Rubin for some reason. And I bought this for the specific reason of wanting to read it and annotate it. I have been very busy recently and kind of felt I was falling off creatively, and I wanted to read a book by a creative that kind of talked and understood the creative process. I know this is going to sound very, very niche, but you know, sometimes when there's something very specific you want to read and you know what book that is, it is this one. It really filled that hole for me when I bought it and was starting reading it and annotating it, and it kind of helped me carry on my creative journey, and then I promptly stopped reading it. But like I say, the creative journey is one that has ebbs and flows, so I do want to carry on reading this in snippets. This one is probably going to take me the longest because it's not a sit down and read book. It's one that I just want to read in snippets and annotate and take my time with, and that is okay. But I do want to, like I say, make a bit more progress with this one, so you're going to see me doing that too. So a couple of weeks have now passed since I said I wanted to finish reading some of my current reads. It's about the 26th of August, and I wanted to finish all of the books on my list before the end of August, and I have basically done that, which I'm very happy about, because then it leaves a couple more days to maybe fit in some short reads. I'm thinking I will share those with you at the end of this clip. But right now I just want to go through the books I did finish, talk a little bit about them, and also include some of the books I have managed to finish as well as those, because there was one other book I finished that wasn't on my list. So actually we're first going to talk about the book that I haven't made any progress on at all, and I'm actually okay with that, and that is The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. So this one, like I say, I've been reading snippets of it and annotating it. Because I've been focusing on finishing my other reads, I haven't really made time to sit down and just read pockets of this like I maybe wanted to. But like I say, that's fine. This isn't something that I want to force myself to read. I want to pick it up when I'm in the mood, when I feel like I need to. This is one of those ones that basically just lives on my bedside table for me to read snippets of whenever I am in the mood. So I don't know what I said at the beginning, but I'm on page 49 of this. So I've either made very little progress or none at all, but like I say, I'm okay with that. Now, this next book that I finished that wasn't on my list of books that I wanted to finish, I'm very excited about, and one I really want to talk about. It was a very quick read. I have it on my Kindle. I have a physical version. I read it on my Kindle, but I'm glad to have the physical version in case I want to annotate it, and also just to own, because I love this girl, this woman, so much. But that is, of course, Char's poetry collection, or her new poetry collection, The Barmaid, the Pelican and the Sea. I have Overshare. This one also includes Overshare, but I was glad that this is a bind up of her new collection and Overshare as well, so that it can be out there in the world for other people to read. But it also meant that I reread it. It's been a really long time since I've read Overshare, and basically what I wanted to do, I did want to carve out some time to just sit and devour this. Instead, what happened was I had this ordered to be delivered at work, so I picked it up on my lunch break and I couldn't help myself, so obviously I started reading it on my lunch break, and I was, after the first couple of poems I think, I was already crying. And I was messaging Char and being like, this is a mistake, I'm so sorry, I'm crying. Well, she apologised to me. I was like, why are you apologising? I love that your poems make me cry. Because like I say, they're always so emotive. Char is always really honest about her experiences with her bipolar disorder, her experience in and out of love, her experience with her friendships. And I've always thought that Char's poetry collections are just so raw and honest. And she has such a unique voice, and she will always be my favourite poet to ever exist. And that's not because she's one of my best friends, it's because if you read these poetry collections you completely understand why I am saying that. And again, the Barmaid, the Pelican and the Sea, again, was up there with Overshare for me. Obviously there were some poems I preferred more than others, a few, like I say, that made me cry. And I cannot wait to revisit this one, and I already feel like just reading it that once kind of quite quickly wasn't enough. I kind of want to revisit this one again soon. I think I did that with Overshare after it came out. I read it like twice in a year, or once and then very soon after that, so I can see myself reading this again before the end of the year. I am going to leave a link in my description box to this collection on Amazon if you wish to purchase it. Just so you're aware, a portion of the royalties from this are being donated to a men's mental health charity as well, so if you do purchase a copy you will be helping towards a very important charity. And yeah, I am really happy that I managed to fit this in while trying to finish my current reads, because it's probably one of the best things I have read so far this year. Now getting on to the books that I wanted to finish. So the first one I did manage to finish was The Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, which I was listening to on audiobook. I was actually really enjoyed listening to this on audiobook, and I would maybe recommend that format to people. I still stand by what I said at the beginning of the video, in that I am keeping this actually after I finished it. I realised I am going to keep this copy until maybe I am able to get like an extractions from, or the best bits of this, because like I say, there were some meditations that I preferred over others. It also made me realise that there's a lot of famous quotes that we think, for instance, are from Shakespeare. So the one from Hamlet about thinking makes it so, that is mentioned in this about like at least 30 times, and whether Marcus Aurelius got that was just himself or he got that from somewhere else, it's a slightly different wording, but it's basically the same thing. So I found that very interesting. It's also definitely made me want to pick up some more sort of like Greek and Roman philosophers. I really enjoy sort of like philosophy and this kind of thing, and this one, like I say, was actually really accessible by listening to it on audiobook, and even maybe like reading snippets of it. It's not as hard to read as you would think it would be, so I'm very glad to have finished this one. The next book I finished was one on my Kindle, and that was The Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. Now, my Kindle is in here, but the cover is, the case is so pretty, I'm just going to hold the case up. So I had been reading this on my Kindle for a good few months, and I was kind of getting to the point where I think I was getting a little bit bored. I didn't enjoy the Hunger Games aspect of this. I thought it would be more interesting with there being more people, with the double amount of reapings, but I guess that maybe made it harder for Suzanne Collins to write. The book would have been really long, but I wouldn't have minded the book being slightly longer if the games were more interesting. Out of all of the books I have read by Suzanne Collins that feature Hunger Games, this was definitely my least favourite games of the ones that we get. I just, like I say, found it kind of boring. The arena I found very boring. I did enjoy this idea that it showed that people had tried to break the games and tried different ways to revolt before what happened with Katniss. And I think that's really important to tell that story, because that's the biggest thing that's an issue, I guess, with the Hunger Games, is that Katniss comes along and it just seems to... she seems to be the one that causes all of these things to happen. You realise that actually what happened with Katniss was pure luck, that all of these small things fell into place at the right time. And yes, Katniss was a great symbol for the revolution. But yeah. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I wasn't sure if I was going to love this as much as other people, but I've got to say, Suzanne Collins saved the game. So you know what's going to happen at the end of this book. You know Haymitch just ends up being, from the Haymitch that we know, a completely different person. And by the end of the games, he's still quite, I don't want to say chipper is definitely the wrong word, hopeful would be the word. So you know something once the games finish is going to happen. And some of those you can definitely guess what those things are going to be, and then you're seeing it happen and you're like, oh yeah, you now see how he's gonna like become the Haymitch that we know. And yet she still completely surprised me. She is the queen of just putting something in that is so dramatic in such a sort of like, not simple way, but you're reading it being like, no, and you're even expecting maybe something to happen, and you're still like, no, this is not happening right now, this is not happening, no way is this happening right now. So yeah, like I say, she saved it at the end, totally saved it. And then obviously the epilogue, I was crying, so this is another one. It's been a good time recently for books making me cry. It's been a while since I've cried over books, and Suzanne Collins got me, Shah got me. I cried when I finished The Emperor of Gladness. Yeah, just crying everywhere. So I think in the end I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars, but the one thing I would say it has made me really want to read the President Snow book, because I was never interested in reading that. But I definitely want to read that before this film comes out, because I also haven't watched the film. I've only watched the original trilogy of films, that's 4 films. And I forget the name of it, A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So I think I might get that out of the library maybe next year, to try and read, like I say, before the film for The Sunrise on the Reaping comes out, which I think is going to destroy me even more than the book. And the last book on my list of books I wanted to finish reading, I finished this morning, which is great. But that is The Cornish Hideaway by Jennifer Bibby, who I mentioned before is one of my colleagues at work. This came out quite a while ago, I think, but her new one is coming out in October, and it is a Christmas, winter, autumn-winter themed romance novel following 2 of the characters that are mentioned in this one, which I am very excited about. And then she has her final book in this series coming out, I think, next year, that's set during Easter, who I'm not sure who it's following yet. I have an idea of who I maybe would like it to be, but I need to read the synopsis. But either way, very excited. Loved the characters in this. It was just the perfect book to read during the summertime. So it's set in, obviously, in a Cornish village. You've got someone running, a main character, Freya, who's running away from her problems, and obviously staying with her best friend, falling in love with this village, and obviously another beautiful, mysterious man who turns up. What I really loved about this was that I think it kind of made me fall in love with people again. It was kind of like one of those books that really show the true heart of people and communities and what people will do for one another, even if they haven't known them that long. And that was like really touching, one of the really touching parts of this. So yeah, if you want like a summer or seasonal romance that you can just escape into, I would definitely recommend this one, and I'm feeling like the following 2 books are going to be exactly the same. So I'm very, very thankful to summer for boosting my reading game. Obviously my reading this year has been very slow compared to normal, and I feel like recently I've been managing to finish quite a few books, and it's just been made me kind of fall in love with reading again, making time, setting aside time to read. I'm falling in love with audiobooks again, and I'm already thinking about what I want to read next. Yeah, I'm just very excited about some future reading plans. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know if you've read any of these, and what your thoughts were on them, what you've been reading this summer, and I will see you soon in my next video. Bye!